So welcome to the Midwest Virtual College Connection. And so my name is Elizabeth Potter. I'm the Outreach Development Specialist here at PACE. Tonight, for the first 30 minutes, we're going to learn a little bit about the programs and the colleges that are here, but also give you an opportunity to learn about what are the skills that are needed for students as they're entering a post-secondary program. Like not only what our individual programs are looking for, but what would really be a foundation that would make a difference in them being successful. So you can see on your screen, what we're looking at is health skills as well as daily living skills. So each one of us are going to kind of talk about what does that mean for our individual programs? What are the skills that perhaps you could look at now to make a difference for you as you're preparing for that next step in college education. So I'm going to introduce our first college. And so Janine, if you want to introduce yourself and share about the skills needed to be able to enter your program.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Janine Vargas, and I'm the director of the RISE program at Judson University. The RISE program is located in Elgin, Illinois, along the Fox River, farther up north there. And we are a 2-year certificate program where students live on the college campus of Judson University and live in the dorms and take classes. And we have internships on campus their first year and off campus their second year. So I'd love to go through, we have a list here just to touch on some of the key points to some of the skills in both the health area and daily living skills that help our students be successful in our programs. And so we'll start off with the list in toileting. Our students in the RISE program, because they're living on campus, would need to be fully toilet trained and be able to manage that independently without prompts. We also want our students to be able to know to shower daily and take care of daily grooming, personal care, grooming, and those types of things, because we want them to be able to, when they go out for the internships and eventually interview for jobs, we want them to present their best self forward. Our students do not need to drive. We do provide in our program for internships, we have Uber as part of their transportation to take them to and from their internships. And mobility, we have a university campus that's a little bit older, and so we do not have ADA accessible buildings throughout our campus, just a few buildings. And so it would be important that our students have mobility for our campus. Because our students do stay in the campus dorms, we do ask that they have some experience spending the night away from home. It is already a challenge for our students when they are leaving home for the first time living on a college campus. Much easier for those who have maybe been away to a camp or to relatives' house for several days infrequently, so that they have that experience of being on their own away from home. Mental health resources, our university does have a wellness center and a very small counseling staff. We do assessment. The student will come to the wellness center and share their needs. The wellness center staff will do an assessment, and then they'll refer out to our local partners in our area and find resources for those students in various areas for them. We do, in the Wellness Center, have a campus health coordinator, but we do ask that our students be able to administer their meds themselves. There may be times where they need prompting, and we do provide those accommodations for them, but we really do ask that they be independent when they are administrating medications. As we talk about daily living skills, students are moving to and from the campus to different classes. The RISE program is not housed in just one area where students just stay in the same classroom or a couple of classrooms. And so because they're all over campus, they are going to need to have an idea of time management, be able to know when their next class is, make sure that they have time to, when they get up in the morning, get dressed, have breakfast before their first class, those types of things. So helping students ahead of time keep an eye on schedules and be aware of time commitments is really helpful. In terms of some of the daily living skills for our students, it's important that they be able to take care of their dorm room a little bit. You know, we know some students are neat and some are messy. We see that all in our campus, but helping students to pick up after themselves, reminding them to, especially in this COVID climate right now, we are making sure our students wipe down fixtures in the bathrooms and those types of things to help keep everybody safe in their environment clean. But it's helpful in that area to be able to also find your own belongings, take care of your own belongings, being able to practice some of those social skills that are necessary to be able to advocate for yourself. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I don't feel well. Those kinds of things are important, again, in this climate as we're making sure that our students are well. And we also encourage our students to be able to use their words to advocate when they are feeling different emotions, especially as they're learning to cope with new roommates and new environments in the dorm area, being able to share in class those things that they don't understand and may need help on. We encourage our students to self-advocate. We do have students who have frustrations and those types of things. We do help them in that area, but we really are looking for a student who can self-regulate, be able to, when they are upset, verbalize that or need help, so that we're looking for behaviors that can be directed with one or two prompts rather than multiple directives for behavior. And because our students are being able to do their laundry on campus, many of them use a debit card. So it's really helpful when a student has had the experience of using a debit card before. We recognize money is difficult for our students, but we want to be able to help them in some way manage that money. Or they can use coins or cash for laundry as well, and we can help them navigate that as well. So those are just some really quick touch points on our program, and I'm happy if you have further questions. We'll all have our contact information available, and you are welcome to email me, reach out, and I'm happy to discuss that more. Thanks so much. I'm going to now send it over to Tim from ELSA.
Hey everybody, Tim Elberg here from the Elmhurst Learning and Success Academy at Elmhurst University. Hope you're doing great tonight. We're a 4-year college experience program for young adults with differing abilities to come and have a very traditional 4-year college experience. We emphasize academics, we emphasize independent living skills, social skills, and the big one is career exploration. So in the context of health and daily living skills, the way we sort of address these things, when we're looking at our students who are coming to us, that toileting, self-care thing, we need students to have the independence to be able to navigate those things on their own, to be able to navigate a campus on their own. We don't provide aides. We don't really have someone who's living with our students in that capacity. In terms of transportation, it's not required to live on campus, so it is possible to commute to the school if you want to choose that option. Like if you want to attend part-time, you can use transportation. You know, whatever works for the family. If a student happens to drive, that's great. We have a parking lot. We do have pretty close access to a metro station. We're about 5-minute walk from a metro station. And then, you know, other families have chosen to use Pace and cabs and Uber and whatever works for them. In terms of on-campus mobility, we do have accessible buildings for the most part. Not every single building on campus is. We've been around since 1871, so there's a couple of them that haven't caught up yet, but the majority are, and all the buildings that we use in terms of where you can live and where you can dine and where you can go to class are accessible. If you choose to live on campus, obviously sleeping overnight on campus is a part of that. We're not a prison, so you have the opportunity to go home on the weekends and those kinds of things. But like I said, it's not mandatory to live on campus. However, if you do live on campus, we do ask families who live on campus that their students have their own personal guardianship so that the student can make yes or no decisions and adhere to the school code of conduct and all those kinds of things. Families can retain financial guardianship or health guardianship and what's basically called a partial guardianship, but they need to have their own personal guardianship to live on campus. In terms of mental health resources, for our students who live on campus, we happen to have a psychologist who runs a group session, which helps negotiate social issues and roommate problems and those kinds of things, and just sort of a discussion group, and is available to meet with our students who live on campus on a one-on-one basis by appointment. That resource is not available to all of our students all of the time. So, you know, we're not a therapeutic program. And similar with medication, we're not doing any kind of administration. Students have to be able to monitor and work with their own medication plans. Now, in terms of daily living skills, a lot of that is baked into our curriculum. So time management and communication with phone, I like to tie together because that comes up in several of our courses right from the beginning. We have an Intro to College Life course, which deals with a lot with, you know, kind of executive planning, utilizing our phones and our calendars and building appointments and schedules for ourselves, not just for homework and classes, which is obviously the starting point, but even social stuff and putting in Netflix time and building limits and really kind of working on our skills. And that affects daily living skills and food management as well, because we're looking at using a cafeteria and a budget plan for points that we use. So we're trying to keep track of what we're eating and how much we're eating and making healthy choices when we get into the healthy living courses and so forth. Behavior and money management are also addressed in several classes. We have a couple in social communication that deals a lot with social behavior and communication and those kinds of things. And then we have a series of courses in Financial Smart, which starts with the basics and goes all the way up to signing a lease and managing an apartment. And in the advanced Financial Smarts 4 class, you'll even get into stocks and bonds if the students are interested, or self-management or entrepreneurship. We kind of cover all the bases throughout the 4 years. So that's kind of what sets us apart from our other schools here, is being the 4-year program. And we have a little bit more involved with academics. So we're doing a lot more reading and writing and those kinds of things. So my average grade level, if you will, is probably between 5th and 7th grade with students in my program. The minimum we're usually looking for reading, writing, comprehension, and mathematics skills is around 3rd grade. It's not a brick wall on that. You know, we can work with you, you know, if you're close or right in the line or one thing's a little low, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, we're working on building and developing those skills throughout our academic curriculum to help you at the end succeed and seek out and get employment and a job. And just almost 5 minutes exactly. Now I'm going to turn it over to, I forgot who they told me who's next. So I'm going to pick Kira. She looks nervous.
I'm definitely not nervous, but thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. Sorry, Eric, I bumped you out of the way. I'm Kira Collins. I'm the Assistant Director of Bethesda College at Concordia University. I'm also the Director of Admissions for Bethesda College. We are a partnership with Concordia University. We are right north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about 20 minutes, right on Lake Michigan. Student-wise, we accept students between the ages of, we'd say, about 18 to 26 years old. We do not have a requirement as far as academic level goes. Our program, we have students who can't read, and we have students who can read typical chapter books and write 3 to 4 page papers. So for us, it's all about what is your reasoning to come to college and to want to have independent living after you graduate. Those are our biggest things. Really, the only things that are very difficult for us to assist with right away off the bat, what you see with health, is toileting and medication. That being said, we can work with disability services with the toileting piece. If you are a family that can provide a care worker, we are starting to work with the university on that, because if that's something that is going to be realistic upon living independently, then we want to make sure that we can help support that. Medication management, we are not certified in anything with medication, so medication needs to be independent as well. That, I would say, is the biggest struggle we see with our students who come into our program. However, there's a lot of smart technology as well that about 4 of our students have started using this year, that can send alerts to parents, can drop the pills for the students. So a lot of really great information that I can pass on as well. Self-care, we do have life skills coaches that can come into the dorms and work on specific things, whether it's brushing their teeth, helping them in a shower routine. So really, our program is very individualized. We accept a total of 24 students total, and we are a 2 to 3 year program. We've always been a 2-year program, and next year we're piloting our 3rd year. We have found that 2 years is not realistic for everybody in order to receive the support towards their independence that is needed. Transportation and mobility. Campus is 100% accessible, whether you have a wheelchair or a scooter and walking. It's about 3.4 miles of underground tunnels, so campus is pretty big, but what's nice is it can all be enclosed in the winter, so you don't even need to go outside. And then there are elevators for access as well. Sleeping and overnight on campus, we provide a 1-week like transition to college week, where you can get that experience of sleeping away from home. By no means does that mean that you can't come to our program or you won't be successful, but having that space away from family or parents is very helpful. Mental health resources, we do have a counseling center on campus. However, our students don't really utilize it. They don't have a lot of training at that center to work with students with intellectual or developmental disabilities. So what we usually do is, because we're in the North Shore of Milwaukee, we have a lot of access to therapists. And so either A, we suggest students continue, especially now with Zoom, with the therapist that they currently have, or we can help families navigate finding one in the community, and we can help support the transportation for that. There is also a couple places on campus specifically for relaxation, meditation, things like that, to help students regulate themselves as well. As far as daily living skills go, time management, we find our biggest struggle with students is getting up in the morning. Like, once they're up and going, it's pretty good, even though their schedules are different every day. But once they're up and going, it's great. So really, waking up to an alarm clock, that is so important. And it seems like a really simple skill, but when you're not there, pushing somebody out of bed, and we're not going to do that because that's not realistic. And then natural consequences happen, and then we go from there. Daily and living skills, like I said, we have life skills coaches that come in the dorms. So everybody comes in with different strengths. And then areas of weakness are where we like to set our goals. Food management, there's 4 different places to eat on campus. If there's certain allergies in the cafeteria or the dining hall, there's simple servings. And so students who have these dietary restrictions can let them know ahead of time. So that would be primarily where they would eat. We do not monitor, though, what students eat. In the evenings, a lot of them like to go to dinner together, and that's one way that our staff can provide watching them, but we can't guarantee that your student's not going to drink soda for breakfast or dinner. It is what it is. Communication with the phone. We do require all students to come to campus with a cell phone. Because of our building being all concrete, we communicate through the app called WhatsApp. And so it is very important for students to have phones. That can also cause a lot of issues, especially if they haven't had it before. So if they don't have one before coming, I would highly suggest introducing it at home, so it's not a new thing and becomes an obsession when they move to campus. And then we have students that have different controls on it, and we work with the families, but it's really nice if it can be introduced at home and monitored. Behavior, we work very closely. All of our students have a RA that lives in with them called a BCRA, and their specific role is social and emotional support. So that's really a big piece of it. We follow, like I heard Tim say, we follow the Concordia Code of Conduct. We have our own handbook. We do hearings. Students can lose points. They can lose their privileges in the dorms. There's nothing that we don't follow via Concordia. So we follow everything with them. And money management, biggest piece is we ask that all students come to campus with a debit card. We focus highly on debit card use, and it's okay if they haven't done it before they come to campus because we work on it, but we try really hard to have students get that. And yeah, that's what I would say about Bethesda. Thanks, guys. And now I'm going to pass it on to Eric.
Awesome, thanks. So I'm Eric Lindsay. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment at Shepherd's College, and we're located in Union Grove, Wisconsin, and that's about 15 minutes west of Racine and Kenosha, so not too far across the Illinois-Wisconsin border there. And so we're a 3-year specialized college program, and so we have 3 living areas that students progress through during their time with us. They'll go from a dorm to a hall to an apartment. And then we also have 3 different vocational majors that we offer. So specifically, we train in the areas of horticulture, culinary arts, and technology. And then we have a handful of core classes on the side that kind of encapsulate a lot of those categories that we're going to talk through under daily living skills. And so just to run through this list, so if a student's considering Shepherd's College, looking at toileting and self-care, those would be a must that a student would need to be able to have the physical capability of doing self-care in regards to hygiene specifically, so brushing teeth, showering. We're not doing any sort of lifts or supports in that sense. We do, however, understand that students might need prompts and reminders, and that is an area of training that we would provide. In all of our living areas, we have full-time staff, our student life staff, who are there into the night, and then we actually have overnight staff in each living area as well, as an extra measure of safety. So even if students are in need of reminders and prompts, it's great if they have those skills coming into the program, but we can also train them more in that area if needed. Transportation and mobility. We've had students come to Shepherd's who drive and have a car, and if they've brought it to campus, it's usually just used for them going home for breaks or coming back from breaks. Most of our students don't drive, and we actually offer all the transportation for anything and everything that we do off campus. Now, in regards to mobility of getting around campus or getting around the town of Union Grove, our students all do a mobility assessment when they come to our program. And so we recognize we have some students where we have a few stores, Dairy Queen and Dollar General and a Subway right across the street. We're on Highway 11. It's a pretty busy road. And so we have some students who would have no issue going and walking across the crosswalk safely. We have other students who might need more training in that area, and we would not want them to do that. And so we're going to work with students, kind of meet them where they're at and get them where they need to be in regards to being able to get around. Sleeping overnight on campus is important. And so, yeah, it's tough. We recognize that some students may have done camps every summer for the majority of their life, and we have others who've never lived away from home. And we also offer a summer program. Not sure where that's going to land yet next summer, just given the current scenario. But we always recommend doing an on-campus visit or an overnight once those are back up and running. For mental health resources, Shepherd's College on campus doesn't have any licensed counselors or professionals in that area. So if someone did need to seek mental health counseling, we would outsource that to someone within the community. However, we do have advisors, and that's kind of the main point of contact between students and parents in the program. And so they're going to help students with goal planning and budgeting, conflict resolution. We recognize as students come to Shepherd's College, they're interacting in a completely new environment, and they're going to have new challenges come their way. And so our advisors are the first person communicating with the student and the first person communicating with the parent. For first year students especially, we're doing weekly updates as far as the students' progress in the program. Medication administration, we have a full-time RN and a full-time LPN on campus. And so we, again, have students who may have never pass their meds by themselves, and our goal is to train them in that area. We have others who have passed meds themselves, and we would like for them to continue to do that as much as possible. So we do have an RN and an LPN that oversee that. Daily living skills. So time management, similar to what the other programs have said, that's helpful. We can train students in that area, but being able to set an alarm and get to bed on time, wake up in the morning, those are all going to be things that are going to help them be more effective. With our life skills, as they go through our residential model, they're going to start with doing one small task or a couple small tasks at a time in the dorms. As they get to the hall in the second phase, they're going to take on more. As they get to the apartment, they're going to take on 50% of the work between them and their roommate, between all the responsibilities in regards to cleaning, meal prep, and meal cleanup. So that would be that. Communication. So our students, we train them on effective communication. So something coming into the program that would be great for a student is not only to know how to use a computer and how to use a phone, but how to do it appropriately. And that's not a must-have to come into our program. We certainly want to be an option to train students in that area. We offer a class called Personal and Professional Development. Part of personal development is, and professional development is sending text messages, leaving voicemails, sending emails, not only just being able to do it, but being able to do it in a way that is appropriate and effective communication for the person on the other side. Behaviors, when it comes to that, so typically the reasons we seen students not get accepted to Shepherd's in the past is if they have a recent history of behaviors that are harmful to themselves or others, or if their medical or toileting or self-care needs are beyond what we offer, which I walked through earlier. So out of this whole list, those would kind of be our must-haves, so to speak. These other areas are definitely things that we train students with, and we just recognize they're coming from different backgrounds. Lastly, money management. We train everywhere from identifying coins and different bills all the way to having a debit card, budgeting, paying bills online, and everything in between. So to the degree that a student can continue to work on those areas, that would be fantastic coming into our program. So, and that is all I have. I'm going to pass it over to Elizabeth Potter with the PACE program.
Wonderful, thank you. So you've been getting to get an idea. I hope you have a list of the different things that you can do now that will make a difference for you. And so starting for PACE, so let me take a step back. So I am the Outreach Development Specialist at PACE at National Louis University. We're located at downtown Chicago. And our students live in Chicago, so in student apartments. And I'll kind of go through the elements of our program. We are a 3-year program, and we do have focus on many of these areas within the structure of the program. And so like Eric pointed to, really all of our programs are designed to be able to enhance and expand our student skills so that they can live independently. And there are just some things that are really going to make a difference before they get here. And so looking at those health skills in terms of the toiletry and self-care. So our program is absolutely looking for individuals that are managing that independently. So they're the ones that are actually taking care of that. Now, if there is support and structures needed to remind them that maybe it's time to take a shower, those are things we have support structures in. So the things that you can work on now, perhaps with your students or with your children at home, is to create perhaps a calendar where it shows when they are going to take a shower and begin to have them develop the skills to be able to know that's when they're taking it, or whatever time that it is, or whatever schedule that it is. In terms of transportation and mobility, all of our students use public transportation. And so many of my peers, if our students have a driver's license, we request for them to leave their car at home. And so they're not bringing their car with them. And so nor are they using Uber or any of the other services offered. So what we're looking for is for individuals that have the mobility ability to be able to manage public transportation successfully. Now, that doesn't mean without support, but for them to be able to manage it successfully. We do provide one-on-one assistance. So we do use the scaffolding approach to be able to assist our students when they first start with us, to ensure that they begin to develop those problem-solving skills, that emotional regulation, like, holy cow, I don't know which direction I'm going in. And so they're the skills that they're really developing that are going to make a difference as they move into adulthood. And so the goal is really by the end of the first year for them to be able to navigate public transportation successfully. And some of our students are not able to do that, and many of our students are. But either way, that is an outcome of the program that we are supporting our students in achieving. In terms of sleeping overnight on campus, we don't have, our students are not sleeping on our campus. We do have student apartments available within the Lincoln Park area, if you're familiar with that here in the Chicagoland area. The way that the apartments are set up is there are 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and the students begin to understand those skills in terms of chores. So something that you could work on is perhaps create a chore cart at home. So mom does the dishes, and perhaps, somebody else is then drying them or putting them away. So they have a chore chart. So that's something that certainly, that if you wanted to work on something, you could work on that now. We also sleeping overnight on campus. I think that really covers it. Mental health resources. We are not a therapeutic program. And so what does that mean? So that means very much what Tim was pointing to. The doors are not locked. There has to be a level of independence and understanding to know that if they want to walk out, they can, and that there are consequences along with that. So having the understanding of what rules are and consequences. And so we do, however, have a licensed therapist that does lead cohort conversations to be able to support our students in really any conversation that a college student is going to be encountering in this age group. And so they're looking at peer pressure and social media and being in a relationship and being away from home and all of that anxiety. So we do have weekly cohort conversations led by a licensed therapist, and our students do have weekly one-on-one meetings with as well. And it is an opportunity for them to speak with somebody with that training to help them process what's happening. They are our primary contact for our families when students start school with us. And so if there's additional support needed, where additional perhaps therapy sessions are needed, our staff member will recommend that and work with the families to be able to put that in place. In terms of medication administration, we can absolutely put structures in place to assist them in taking the medication, but they're the ones who are actually physically taking the medication outside of their container. Or we will support them in understanding when to order it, or how to order it, and how to walk through that, and all of those things. And the goal is really to help them build the skill sets such that that could be something that could be managed eventually independently. In terms of daily living skills, time management, wow, that is so important. And so time management, I think Janine mentioned it, is really great for them to become aware of alarms, or somebody mentioned, right? So alarms about, okay, so when the alarm goes off, what do you do? And so that is a very simple something. I had one of the teachers mention to me in a meeting that when you think about it, when students are going from classroom to classroom, and particularly now when we're on Zoom, there's no alert to see here's what time it is. It's like logging in and out. And so putting any kind of structure in place for them to be aware of time and where to be at a certain time is a really great practice that you can do now. That is certainly something that we can take and expand on once they're in our programs. Daily living skills. And so many of my colleagues pointed to that. So all of our programs support the development of that, but anything in terms of basic hygiene, to how to clean. Hey, they can be responsible for cleaning the living room. How do you work a vacuum? What does that look like? So some of these things that if you can begin to work on those now will make a huge difference in the transition into a post-secondary program. Food management. And so our students, we go grocery shopping with them. And so in that first quarter, what we're looking at is how do you build, so they get $45 per week. And so it's cash. So they're not using a debit card. And they're looking at what are they going to buy and what does it look like for breakfast and lunch. And so breakfast and lunch is what that money covers. And what does it mean to buy something healthy and not frozen? And we go to the grocery store with them as they're making choices. We're not going to tell them, no, they can't buy something. As an adult, right? I buy what I buy, but we will be there to guide them through what's going to make the difference for them. So anything that you put in place now as you go through the grocery store or even shopping online on Instacart or any of those online apps can begin to build the awareness of what does it mean to make a good breakfast for yourself. Communication with the phone. So all of our students, we do request them that they do have a phone when they enter the program. It is important for them to be able to know, how to access those important emergency numbers. So how quick, where is it? How do they reach them? What is an emergency and which number do you dial for? And so those are things, again, that we will work with the students on, but that is something, again, that you could work on prior to. Behavior. So anytime somebody goes away from home, there's going to be an adjustment. That's just kind of how that goes. And we understand that. However, some of the behavior in terms of emotional regulation that doesn't work, at least for our program, and I think my colleagues would point to it, as any kind of overtly aggressive behavior, if it's violent behavior to themselves or to the others inside of our program, that this is not the program for that. So that is something that would have to be worked through and developed and grown out of prior to entering our program. Money management, I mentioned that. So they actually work with cash. So no tapping their phone onto and purchasing with magic money. They actually have a big, huge wallet, and each and everything inside of life in terms of Saturday activities or groceries or personal hygiene or saving for something that they really want, as they begin to build the awareness of, this is how much money I have and that's what I have, as they begin to become more responsible for those areas of life. And again, some of the things that could be worked on now is students becoming aware of, what is it to save for that cool video game that just came out? And it's not just, hey, somebody else is going to buy it and the money's going to come somewhere, but really developing the habit of what does it look like to be able to manage money. And so those are just some of the things that can absolutely be worked on now. And anywhere that the student is at from that basic level, all of our programs are very capable of taking them from there and being able to maximize their success at living independently. So I hope that you found that portion of this conversation useful. This is the opportunity, and I just realized I don't have chat, so that means you're going to have to take yourself off mute. Or you're gonna have to take yourself off mute if you have a question, because I don't have the chat function on here, which is kind of normal. Actually, I typically have the chat function removed for our students when we're teaching classes, because I want them to be able to communicate with me as a person. So we're going to get to practice that together. So if there's any questions that you have for us now, please feel free to unmute yourself. And if not, what would happen is we're going to send this recording out to everyone that is attended and registered. You'll have all of our contact information, so that if you go, wow, I should have really asked that question, you'll have the ability to do so. Hello.
Can you guys each talk about the age ranges of the students you accept?
Oh, wonderful. Yes, Kelly. So for myself, for PACE, we accept students between the ages of 18 and 28.
For Bethesda, we are about 18 to 26, but we're not like a hard 26. So right now we currently have somebody who started when they were 25, who will be 27 or 28 when they graduate the program.
ELSA is 18 to 28.
The RISE program at Judson University is 18 to 25. So they can start at 25, 2-year program, they'll graduate at 26.
And at Shepherd's College, it's just 18 or older. So the majority of our students are in their 20s, but we have a small handful that are actually in their 30s as well. So it's just 18 and older for us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kelly. Was there somebody else who had a question?
Hi, this is Dave Wisniewski. I had a question for Janine with RISE. With regard to on-campus support or resident assistants that live with the students, is there something like that that's provided there?
Absolutely. We have 3 levels. We do have RAs, resident assistants, that live in the dorms, and they are a ratio of 2 students to 1 RA. And they either live adjoining to them in the suite right next door or right across the hall, so they're very close. Students, when they are on their internships, have a vocational advisor that accompanies them. Our students, in addition to the RISE courses that they take, they also can declare a concentration and audit some traditional courses. And we have a learning advisor that accompanies students in those classes as well. And we also build in study library time twice a week for all our students with learning advisors.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, for Mr. Lindsay, would you still be able to work a job at Shepherd?
That's a great question. So the way that our program is designed and how it's run, it's really hard for students to have a job while attending Shepherd's College. And so we're doing a lot of training throughout the day. And what you learn in class, students are applying that in the evenings pretty heavily. And so it's really encapsulated in the whole learning process. We do offer federal work study. So we do have opportunity for students to work on campus as part of our federal work study program, and a lot of our students take advantage of that and use that towards their tuition dollars. So that would be the extent of working while being a student at Shepherd's College. It's a great question.
You guys offer absolutely amazing resources, and I hate to ask the question, and whoever decides to respond. So what about financial issues? Is there scholarships available, different funds like that? Kind of what sources out there would you guys recommend?
Yeah, Jenny, did you want to start us off?
Yes. The RISE program is a comprehensive transition program. So we do qualify for the federal Pell Grant and the Illinois State MAP Grant. Based on those who meet the qualifications for both those grants. Because our program is not degree seeking, our students cannot take out a federal loan for their program, so the grants. We also have students who apply for third-party grants as well. And we have been very fortunate that we've had some great partnerships with some very benevolent partners who provide scholarships. So for our students this school year, everyone who requested a scholarship did receive one, but we do have application and some requirements for that, but that's what we provide.
Amazing.
The ELSA program, we have similar access to FAFSA. So same rules apply in terms of if you qualify for the Pell, the FSEOG, and the work study is possible. Loan system is not available for the same reasons because we're a certificate program. We do have a scholarship or a grant program from the university that we utilize, that EFC, the estimated family contributions, the magic number FAFSA comes up for you so that everybody will get something from us. But nobody I don't think wants to say, oh, and there's no full rides, it's not all going to be covered. I look at it as better help to have some than nothing, but it's not going to be a full covering. And then any kind of independent thing your family's fine. We have a list of a couple organizations that have helped our students in the past. We'll of course accept external.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. So let me add to that. So what we're pointing to as a comprehensive transition program, there is federal assistance available for our families that qualify, and the student loans, the money that has to be repaid back, is not. Many of us have internal, and I know that Eric, you can add on to this, but there are internal scholarships certainly that can provide assistance. What I can say, if you're not familiar with, to be able to continue or to be able to look at additional scholarships on the hunt for that, is if you're not familiar with thinkcollege.net, I encourage my families to be able to take a look at that. There's a lot of scholarships available, and right, there is no guarantee, but it's certainly a valuable resource to be able to support you and assisting you in covering the cost. Also, you know, if families contribute to ABLE plans or 504 plans, they are able to use those funds to be able to cover the cost of the program as well. But it is something to be able to take a look at the financial investment in coming to a post-secondary program like many of ours. Eric, did you want to add to that in terms of the differences with your program?
Sure, yeah. So at Shepherd's College, we have full accreditation through the Council on Occupational Education. It's abbreviated as COE, and they accredit a lot of vocational training programs across the nation. And so what that does for our students is if a student has graduated high school with a diploma, due to our accreditor, students can access full FAFSA with us. So they do have options to the loans as well, on top of grants and federal work study. We also have external scholarships listed on our website that we've seen students use in the past. Students at Shepherd's have used Social Security income to help cover room and board. We give internal scholarships, just like Elizabeth was mentioning, for their program as well. So that's worth checking out. And then depending on the state, we've worked with different long-term care funding or Medicaid waiver funding agencies that have been able to help students. And in Wisconsin, we've seen it help quite a bit. We've had a few students, a very small few in Illinois, where DRS funds were able to cross state lines. But it also depends on the region they're coming from and how that process goes. So we recommend looking into all of those different steps there.
And then for Bethesda College, because we're a partnership with Concordia, we do not at this point qualify for financial aid. We do offer a scholarship once a year that can be applied to second semester tuition. We're able to use, if families have 529 savings plans, we can use those. As Eric had mentioned, students can apply their SSI monthly to the room and board that our students pay, as well as if they're Wisconsin residents, they can use long-term care funding or waiver funding. We are in the process of trying to become accredited, but obviously I can't foretell the future. I wish I could. We also accept, we have a lot of families, depending upon the disability of their child, looking into whether it's Ruby's Rainbow or Autism Speaks. So there's different areas out there, as well as obviously there's personal loans that could be taken out too. Did anybody else have any questions at this point anymore?
Hi, yes, I see that this is being recorded, so I missed the portion. Is it possible to go back and rewatch?
Yes, so it will be posted on one of our YouTube channels, and we're going to send that out as well as the screen that you're seeing as an attachment. So you'll be able to review the conversation that you missed.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I had a question. So these programs are available to students outside of Illinois and Wisconsin, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would wonder about out-of-state tuition.
I can speak for Bethesda. Bethesda at Concordia, they do not pay a difference whether they're in state or out of state. Everybody pays the same tuition.
And this
Same at Elmhurst.
Yeah, same for Shepherd's College as well. It's the same regardless.
Yep. Janine?
Yep, same with Rise, all same tuition.
And that is also the same for PACE at National Louis. So students pay the same regardless if they are in-state or out-of-state, as well as international students. The tuition costs and fees are the same.
Share what the tuition costs are?
So the question is the tuition costs for each of the programs?
Yes.
Wonderful. Janine, did you want to, I see you're unmuted.
Yes, I will start. Currently, right now, the RISE program, including tuition, room, and board, is $26,060 per year.
For Bethesda, our students pay what Concordia students pay, which includes their meal plan, their housing, all the support, their job coach, life skills coach, and it is about $21,000 a semester.
At Shepherd's College, it's about $48,700 a year, and that includes everything except paying for weekend events or anything that they might want to buy outside of the groceries that's provided and student support that's provided and all that.
Currently, ELSA, there's some variation on meal plans and whether or not you have an air-conditioned residence hall. But if you're doing full freight, I usually say about $46,000 to $48,000 a year is a typical price tag.
Yes, and so for a PACE at National Louis University, the cost does change, as each college looks as they're going into their academic year. So beginning in fall, whether or not the tuition is going to stay the same or not. And so what the tuition that we charged in, not this year, but last year, right? Because this year a whole completely different ballgame. But last year, I want to be clear on that was for 2019. I'm not sure if that will increase or stay the same for 2021. But we are in that same range as Tim and Eric has mentioned. So we are with room and board. So that includes the dinner from during the week. It does not include extracurricular activities, but it does include everything in terms of meal plans for during the week, as well as any additional instruction, whether it's job coaching or independent living skills instructors. And that is from this last year at $47,500. Is there any other questions before we wrap up in our last few remaining minutes?
Yes, I do have another question. I know a gentleman mentioned about working during while they're at school, and I know the one college said they're not able to work due to the curriculum. So are the other programs the same way, or the school the same way?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're structured differently. So Kira, did you want to go first?
Sure. At Bethesda, our students always have an internship or a job or multiple ones, heavily on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so some internships are paid and some internships are not paid. And by all means, if students want additional hours, especially in the evenings and on the weekends, that's usually not a problem either.
ELSA runs pretty much like a traditional college program. So our students do work on campus if they want to, if they have work study, that's something we can help set up, especially if they don't have a lot of work experience. We're fans of that. But some of our students come to us regionally who, they work at Jewel or they have a Starbucks job or something they want to hang on to. And if they can work it around school hours, we're going to, be flexible with that too. And it's fine.
Yeah, so at PACE, our students, by the time they graduate in the 3 years of the program, will have over 1,000 work experience hours. So they begin an internship by the second week of classes when they move in with us. And so we've had some students that have had pre-existing positions that if we can work the hours around their internship with us, as well as their other schedule, we can work with them on it. However, we do recommend for our students that, that first year is really such a transition. And so we do recommend it if they don't have a paid position to be able to give the student that room in that first year, because we will absolutely be looking for paid positions as they begin their second year.
Okay, thank you.
The RISE program is very similar to everyone else, and particularly with Elizabeth. We do have students who are doing on-campus internships their first semester, off-campus internships their second semester, which are unpaid. But we do have students who have had previous employment and want to continue that employment. And we encourage them, if they continue to do that, to do those really over holidays, vacation times, weekends, so that they can focus their maximum time on their program during the week.
I just wanted to add in too, I heard internships come up multiple times. So for third year students at Shepherd's, Monday through Thursday, their entire third year, they're rotating through different internship sites. And due to our accreditation, those have to be unpaid for them to receive credit through COE. So I just wanted to add the internship aspect. I'm glad you guys brought that up.
Okay, thank you all.
Yeah, great question. So thank you. I'm glad that you joined, even if it was late. You've had great questions that made a difference for everyone else. And so I'm sure there's many other questions that you may have. And so we appreciate you coming. We hope that it's made a difference, getting an idea of what you can do now to prepare for a post-secondary program if it is in your future. What we're going to do is we will send out a link to this recording. We'll also send this snapshot that you see on your screen, as well as all of our contact information. Each of us have upcoming events and opportunities to be able to learn more about the program, see if it's the right fit for you. We work very closely together. So if you reach out to one of us and we find that perhaps it's not exactly the fit, we are really committed to be able to finding what will work for you and really make the difference. So if there aren't any more questions, we're at the end of our time. We appreciate, again, you coming out. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you, you too.